All right, welcome to this training section. We're going to go ahead and walk you through how to set up an onboarding kickoff calendar. So what an onboarding kickoff calendar is basically also called a welcome calendar. What it is basically when as soon as somebody goes ahead and signs up to become a customer, right? Imagine you got to go ahead and actually get them excited, right? You got to actually go ahead and get them as a part of your program. You need to be able to go ahead and onboard them properly because all of their expectations are going to be set on that onboarding call. And you need to be able to make sure that you have some sort of system to keep them hot. That is what it's called. It's usually keep them hot means, hey, how do you keep them activated? How do you not have them have buyer's remorse? And the way that you do that is by having an onboarding meeting. Now, we're going to have an entire separate training on onboarding meeting, where onboarding meetings go, what's the expectations that you should have. We're going to give you a whole bunch of different swipe files for the onboarding meeting as well. So that way you don't have to go out and create the slides for that. We're going to give you the best practices, plug and play. However, for right now, I just want to go ahead and let you know exactly what an onboarding meeting is and what this calendar is used for if it is going to be something that you're going to be setting up for yourself and your business, which is highly recommended. Now, it is important to have your onboarding calendar be completely separate. And the reason why you want it to be completely separate than maybe your strategy session or your consultation calendar is because you're actually going to have separate automations for this in an upcoming training. And so it's going to be very important that you have your own kickoff call calendar. Okay. Now, in a previous test, I did also make this welcome call calendar. I am just going to go ahead and delete this calendar for right now because I don't want it to be confused with the calendar that we're going to go ahead and create, because that was just a fluff calendar. But the biggest point is that having this onboarding calendar is going to be a big game changer, especially when this entire system goes live, because then we're going to walk you through how to create automated emails and text messages that are going to go out to that client when they are making an appointment on this specific calendar. And that's going to be extremely beneficial. So this is going to be one of those calendars that you do for sure want to make sure that you are setting up, because you don't want to end up losing clients before they even begin. So with that being said, let's go ahead and set up this calendar together. So we are going to go over to settings, calendars inside of ClientKit. Of course, we are inside of your Google Chrome work profile. We've gone ahead and bookmarked ClientKit. We're going to go ahead and click on create calendar. From there, of course, we're going to go ahead and do the round robin, which is the strategy that we recommend. Now, in terms of the actual kickoff call calendar, you can actually go ahead and call this whatever you like. However, we have some recommendations. You can call this NutriFit kickoff call calendar. Okay, so sometimes we call it like that, and then we just put KOC here. Sometimes KOC, boom. Team member is going to be yourself, right? Or if you have another team member doing this, this is going to be NFW kickoff call. So NFW NutriFit Wellness. Obviously, you're not going to put NFW, right? So whatever slug you want to put, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and hit advanced settings. From here, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. You'll see if you want to go ahead and put it in a group, not necessarily required. We might talk about groups in a different training section later on. Meeting invite. Okay, so this is where we go ahead and put the actual title for this. We usually put space dash over here, and then this is going to be NutriFit kickoff right over here. Now, I don't know why I put calendar. I didn't want to put calendar. There we go. NutriFit kickoff call. There we go. That's what we want it to look like. Now, this is going to happen on Zoom. Now, I don't know where you are in terms of whether you decide to do your meetings on Zoom or Google Meet or phone or full address. That's going to be up to you to decide, to be able to go ahead and create that for yourself. But this is going to be where you go ahead and change that and decide what your meeting location is going to be. From there, we're going to go ahead and hit save. Next up, we have our availability. Now, when it comes to availability, typically we are going to go ahead and leave our availability pretty wide open if you are going to be taking kickoff calls, pretty much throughout the entire day. However, of course, there are specific cases in which you decide, you know what, I want to only do kickoff calls in the mornings. If that's the case, you'd have to come over here and change this, right? But if you go ahead and leave this wide open, right, even if you make it like 4 a.m. to like something crazy like, 10 p.m. or something like that, and you go ahead and apply that pretty much to everything, what's going to happen is that it is going to be managed over here on your Google Calendar side of things. And so you don't really have to worry about somebody booking at like 2 o'clock in the morning, because of the fact that it's only going to show by default all the availability that is inside of your Google Calendar. And we've talked about that previously, right? Now, in terms of the actual settings for the meeting intervals, this is actually going to be very important, okay? So what you're going to do is this is going to be a 45-minute duration with a 1 hour interval, okay? So it's going to be 1 hour interval right over here with a 45-minute duration. Now, minimum scheduling notice on here, you can go ahead and put this. Typically, we just do like 4 hours is typically what we like to do it. Obviously, you can make that and adjust that if necessary for yourself. In terms of days that you can book out, typically we do provide 21 days out because it is a onboarding call. It's a little bit different than a sales call. Sales call, you don't want to have booked out 21 days out. That's terrible. But for an onboarding call, 21 days, not a bad idea. And then over here, obviously, maximum bookings per day, you can leave that blank. Maximum bookings per slot per user. You can go ahead and leave that to 1. We're going to go ahead and click on save from there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and get into forms and payments. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and we can turn off the consent checkbox on here. Now, typically they already have gone ahead and checked this off when they first filled out a form on our website or something like that. So we can actually turn that off, not necessary here. And then the confirmation message, this is actually going to be important, right? So we don't want to have this default message here. We do in the guide have a specific message that is recommended to use. So we're going to go ahead and put that right over there. And then auto confirm new calendar meetings. We're going to go ahead and leave that on. We're going to go ahead and next go to save. And then we get into notification settings. So in notification settings, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and leave everything off, except this is going to be important. Allow Google Calendar to send invitations. Very, very, very important. And then we're going to go ahead and allow rescheduling, but we are going to turn off cancellations. And now for the actual additional notes, this is actually very important. This is why it's specific to the kickoff call calendar. We actually have a specific verbiage around this. Okay, so you can go ahead and copy that verbiage and paste that there. And there's a little kind of arrow there. You can actually drag that down if you want to make this a little bit bigger to see this much larger. And then you can see, okay, let me go ahead and paste there. There we go. And so it says kickoff call homework. This is going to be if you have a link to kickoff call homework, which again, this is going to be something we help you set up in a different training. We're actually going to build it out for you. So it's copy and paste, and you can literally just have a link to what is called a kickoff call homework, or a keep them hot homework is another way to say that, which is, hey, what is the homework? What is the thing that you're going to give them in between the sales call or in between the time that they actually, sign up for your program or join your company as a customer and the time that their kickoff call happens? How are you going to keep them busy? What are you going to give them as the next action steps before that call? That is what is known as the kickoff call homework. Now, if you do not have that, right, then obviously you don't have to put that in right now. And then obviously right here, if you'd like to reschedule, shoot us an email at support@. So this is what you can use if you want to go ahead and put this here. Now, if you don't want to put this right now, you can actually just backspace and just use the default as well, if that's what you want to use for now. However, we just wanted to go ahead and walk you through that, hey, this is the verbiage that we typically use for our companies once we are up and running and we have the kickoff call homework and all that kind of stuff. But again, if you maintain your active student status inside of the Institute, then you will be able to come back and just use this in the future because you will have this training as a reference for yourself, okay? So that makes sense there. We're going to go ahead and click on save. And then, of course, you can do customizations if you'd like to change the color, if you want to have a calendar cover image. They actually have, ClientKit just came out with this, they actually have non-copyrighted images that you can actually go ahead and just, search a word and then have images show up there. But the key thing here to know is that these images only show up in the group view, so they won't appear on the individual calendar link, so they're not as useful for our purposes. But again, I just want you to know that that is available there. And then we go ahead and hit save. And then guess what? Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you now have your kickoff call calendar and then all the different ways that we talked about booking calendars. We talked about automatic booking calendars and manually booking calendars. If you haven't watched that training section, that'll walk you through all the different ways that you can now book clients and contacts onto this calendar, right? So you got the link option, you got the calendar tab option, you got the conversations tab option, you got the contact page option, so many different options to book calendars all over the place. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be how you actually go ahead and get your onboarding kickoff call calendar set up. Very important. Make sure that you follow along and do go ahead and get that kickoff call calendar set up, because we are going to be using it when we go ahead and talk about setting up automations and setting up automated emails and text messages and all that. So it is going to be very important for you to make sure you have a separate independent calendar that is your kickoff call calendar. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an awesome training. You're doing a phenomenal job. Keep up the good work. We will catch you in the next training section.